Hello everyone, it's Nina and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought it'd be fun to do a video I did last year and kind of like discuss some of the general social media trends I saw come out of Booktube, also extending into BookTok, Bookstagram, basically anywhere online where people talk about books. I personally find like discussing the things that get popular, as well as like the sources of drama in book spaces and like general trends in publishing to be very interesting. These are also just like my own observations, so if I'm missing something big that happened this year in terms of like a big scandal or a book that was really popping off, you can assume I either like didn't hear about it or I just like don't really have very strong opinions of it. But with that intro out of the way, let's get right on into the video. So the first trend I noticed is something that needs a little bit more background. So I'm a big fan of the YouTuber Todd in the Shadows, who is a music reviewer, and he had coined a phrase for a trend that he had seen in music, which he called the indie hit sweepstakes, which is basically when a indie song would get really popular on the pop charts and become like a crossover hit. And I feel like there's kind of a similar analog in book spaces, which I would like to call the monthly book subscription sweepstakes. I feel like in general, the books that are chosen for like the monthly pick for book subscriptions tend not to go super viral or even be like very universally loved. But like once a year, a book that is picked from these subscription services will become incredibly huge and popular. I feel like last year it was definitely Divine Rivals. And this year, I would say the biggest contender is definitely Heartless Hunter / The Crimson Moth. This book was definitely everywhere in the beginning of the year, probably around like February when it came out. Second place would definitely go to the book When the Moon Hatched. This is one I do think, though, that I saw way more of people like hyping it up and a lot of special editions coming out for this book when it was still in pre-order and had not yet come out. And I feel like since it has come out, I've seen more negative versus positive reviews of this one. And I think third place is not necessarily a book that was in a subscription service, but was just kind of like a general indie hit that has really grown in popularity despite not having initially a publisher attached to it. And that would be Quicksilver. This one feels truly like brute force marketing from the people. I feel like I've seen so many people talk about this organically with like no attachment to a publisher or like a special edition to rave about. The next trend I wanted to talk about is just the fact that I feel like there was a lot of like the same there was a lot of like the same people that got really big last year carry over to having like beloved hits in 2024. And I just feel like in general, I didn't see as many breakout new debuts. I feel like the author I definitely saw the most of this year was Emily Henry, who again was very popular last year, but I feel like at least with this year and her release, pretty much everyone likes the book Funny Story. I'm assuming it's going to be on a ton of booktubers like top books of 2024. And I'm also pretty sure it won the Goodreads Choice Awards for romance. I think her books were also being talked about more given the fact that the People We Meet on Vacation movie got its main cast announced. And even though I'm not really the big fan of her work, just her genre is not really one that I normally gravitate towards, I have grown to be more interested in her work because of the fact that I do want to see the movie because I really like both the actors that are attached to it. So I feel like she already was an incredibly popular author before, but her influence has definitely spread even more in the last year. Okay, the next trend I want to talk about is one I find very, very interesting, and that is the rise of sprayed or stenciled edges on basically every new release. It feels like there is a truly absurd number of sprayed edge book releases coming out from publishers each month, and it's also not just hardbacks. Both paperback and new releases, as well as when a book is moving from hardback to paperback, they are also getting sprayed edges, or they are bringing back older series that have been released like quite a few years ago and are now giving them sprayed edges. With that being said, if I see even one of you people buying the new Harry Potter editions with the sprayed edges, just fully go and like leave my presence because there is no ethical consumption of new Harry Potter materials in a post J.K. Rowling is a TERF world. Talking about the trend overall, I don't really dislike this. I think in general the sprayed edges do look nice. And I do think for the marketing, it is working and making me want to pre-order the book ahead of time so I can kind of have like the most perfect version of the book with all like the added details of usually the first print run attached to it. I also think this hopefully will help like the secondhand market because I feel like with all these extra features, you will be able to like sell the book for probably around the same price as what you bought it for. I do think it probably is going to dampen the book subscription service market though, because if you can just like walk into a store and find a book with a fancy sprayed edge or an under the dust jacket design or special end papers, there's less of a need to go and seek out one of these subscription services, which previously were like kind of the only way that you could get these more fancy special edition books. One thing that I noticed that was trending this year was that basically every commentary YouTuber was making a video making fun of BookTok. I feel like when you search BookTok on YouTube, half of it you'll get people that are in like book spaces talking about books they read that got popular through TikTok. And the other half will be like random commentary YouTubers talking about how cringe BookTok is. and focusing on the like Wattpad-esque imagines, the emphasis on smut, or just making fun of romance novels in general. I am not on BookTok or on TikTok in general because I will not allow that app to inflict any psychic damage on me. Lord knows how much I've already suffered at the hand of Instagram Reels. But I have a bone to pick with these kind of videos, not even because of what they say, but more so like how they say it. Because I really feel like these videos are like the net zero gain in content. I feel like they're shallow, vapid, and just for shock value, which is kind of like all of the critiques that they have for what they say the content is like on BookTok. Overall, I just find them to be like low-hanging fruit. And call me old-fashioned, but IDK, I just feel like I want my commentary videos to be full of something called commentary. I feel like overall they tend to be just like a cash grab for a sponsorship slot over like anything that has any deeper value. There have been some very good, thoughtful analysis commentary videos on BookTok and the types of books that they tend to promote. But a lot of the commentary videos that I'm talking about are very light on the actual content and don't provide any productive commentary. And that's not to say I even like the minority of the stuff that they are reacting to, but I feel like a lot of it is just like goofy or cringe, and they make it out to be this like disgusting, depraved thing. And I'm like, it's a goofy ass, poorly written book. It's not gonna hurt anyone. I also just wanted to say no hate to these creators specifically. Some of them do have other videos that I think are good. So I'm not trying to like discredit their entire channel because I think one video they made was like misguided or lazy. Kind of going along with that, I want to talk about something I would like to call Icebreaker and the War on Romance Novels. Along with the commentary channel angle, it seems like this year romance novels were getting slandered left, right, and center. And a lot of that I feel like again was for shock value or engagement bait, if I'm being honest. And the book that became public enemy #1 was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace because it dared to have a cute cartoon cover when the content inside was anything but pure. I have not read this book, I should mention, only because I don't really read sports romance. It's not really a genre I particularly like. Not that I have any like targeted distaste for this book specifically. Okay, I feel like when I was growing up, there was a lot of making fun of the like bodice ripper clinch cover design that was the norm for romance books at the time. Everyone hated them and were pretty super slut-shamey towards women that read this type of book. And nowadays, it's more so that most romance novels will have cutesy cartoon covers. And I feel like now the pendulum has kind of swung in the opposite direction, where people are like, how dare you have a chaste, innocent-looking cover because now young girls are going to read books that are full of sex. And I'm like, can you not read the back of a book? I feel like a lot of books will have a 18 plus or for mature readers only label on the back of their books or in their summaries. And if you don't want your child to read an adult book, maybe don't let them pick out a book from the adult section. At the same time, I do feel very strongly that there should be obviously books that don't have sexual content and that young people shouldn't have that content forced upon them, which is why I don't really like spice in YA. But I feel like you have to assume that if you're reading an adult book, it will have some adult themes. Like, is media literacy dead? Can you not use any sort of context clues? And I feel like overall with the cutesy cover debate, it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation, because a bodice ripper, like, oh, that's way too sexual. But then with a more discreet cover or like cutesy cartoon cover, it feels like, oh, that's misleading because we need to know if there's sex in there. And it's like kind of there's no satisfying people. Okay, for the last topic I wanted to talk about, this is more so like looking forward to maybe some stuff that will happen in 2025, starting off with a trend that has kind of come up through 2024, and that is the question of, has consumerism hit its peak? This might be a little bit of like wishful thinking, but I feel like lately, specifically, I've seen a lot of book creators who maybe started their Booktube channels like 2 or 3 years ago, feel that now their physical TBRs have gotten too long, and they're very much working to cut down on their physical TBR or go on a book buying ban. And I also feel like as the economy continues to be in shambles, we will see more and more anti-overconsumption online. And also the discretionary spending that people will have to spend on books will go down, and kind of like the desire to post about any excessive spending will also go down a bit as well. I obviously don't think that consumerism will disappear completely, because massive book hauls and like flaunting wealth in general has existed on the internet for a long time, pretty much ever since we started going into late stage capitalism. But I do think, at least for right now, those like really massive haul videos have become less frequent in terms of the videos that have been recommended to me compared to in the past. Okay, so that is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the style of video. I really liked the one I made last year, and I think it's just really interesting to reflect on like the trends and things that have become popular in the last year to just get an overall vibe of what's going on in book spaces online. If you guys enjoyed this video, consider liking, commenting, or subscribing if you aren't already. Please let me know if there was another trend that you saw this year that maybe you would like me to talk about in a future video, or just if you want to discuss about it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But that is going to be it for me today. I hope you will have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!